Well, I have my news up here at Desawe in Kanda. This is News 360. I am Alfred Okansi.
And I am Portia Gabo. Coming up, the headlines.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by Heaven Insecticide Spray and Coil and APPIATSE Foods.
Kale Charcoal Toothpaste.
National Labour Commission drags University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, to court over 3 weeks strike.
Also tonight, government officials justify E-LEVY implementation at town hall meeting in Koforidua ahead of consideration of bill in Parliament next week.
APPIATSE explosion victims relocated to Dumasi resettlement camp. Meanwhile, President Kufuor has made a personal donation of 100,000 Ghana cedis to the APPIATSE support fund.
In business news tonight, Ghana loses about 3.3 billion cedis in taxes to undervalued gold exports each year.
And ECOWAS leaders to meet virtually on Friday, January 28, to discuss the crisis in Burkina Faso after army officers deposed President Roch Marc Kabore. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. Let's get into the stories this evening. As government has put forward a robust argument in favor of the controversial E-LEVY, addressing a forum to further justify the need for the E-LEVY. Communications Minister Esther Kufuor stated there is no evidence that Ghanaians will refuse to pay the levy, similar to when concerns were raised about the communications service tax. She indicated that unlike the CST, which kicked off at 6%, the E-LEVY is starting at a lower tax rate of 1.75%.
The government of President Kufuor introduced the communications service tax. That tax was introduced at the rate of 6%, which was later increased to 9%. E-LEVY is being introduced at the lowest rate for any tax in Ghana, comparatively at 1.75%, less than 2%. When the CST was introduced, it faced similar opposition as we are seeing currently. And the current speaker dubbed it as talk tax. As the NDC and the industry, led by the GSMA data, claimed it would damage the growth of the telecommunications industry as consumers would change their mobile communication habits. This does not happen. They were unfounded fears. Several years on, we realized that those dangers were unfounded. It never happened. The industry has grown exponentially since 2008, and all of us find telecommunications and digital infrastructure applications and services as indispensable to everything that we seek to do. The same speculations and complaints are being made about the E-LEVY, that consumers will stop using electronic transactions because of the imposition of this levy. I dare say that based on our experience with the communication service tax and lessons from other African countries, we're confident that the E-LEVY will not bring about any negative changes in consumer behavior, as electronic transactions afford us the convenience, the safety, the security that we currently enjoy.
Meanwhile, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, who also addressed the forum, explained that data has shown that the shift to online financial transactions reflects the need for inclusive contribution to Ghana's development, such as the Youth Start program, to provide jobs for young people.
Now, the E-LEVY, what does it cover? I'm sure we'll do a Q&A on that. So it's mobile money transfers between accounts on the same electronic money issuer, mobile money transfers from an account on one EMI to a recipient on another EMI, transfers from bank accounts to mobile money accounts, transfers from mobile money accounts to bank accounts, and bank transfers on a digital platform application which originate from a bank account belonging to an individual. Then also, what does it not cover? Cumulative transfers of 100 cedis per day by the same person. So if you transfer 100 cedis per day, there's no e-levy on that. But really, we have pegged it at 100 per day, which means 3,000 a month you will not touch. And I'm not sure there are any poor people below above the 3,000 level. So transfers between accounts owned by the same person would also not be touched by e-levy. Transfers for the payment of taxes, fees, and charges, and anything on the Ghana.gov platform would also not be charged. Electronic clearing of checks is exempt, and specified merchants, i.e. merchants whose payments to commercial establishments are registered with GRA for income tax and VAT purposes. And then transfers between the principal, master agents, and agent accounts would also not be charged.
Government's quest to convince the minority in Parliament to get the e-levy passed has once again hit a snag. The minority, at a meeting with the finance minister, indicated that the minister's entrenched position will not help matters.
For the minority, there had been no consultation until the exchanges in Parliament. The House has virtually done a week of the session already. There are indications the Speaker is due for medical review.
It's no news because I recall, I think it was yesterday, at a conclave leadership meeting, he had intimated that he needs to go and do a review. So it's something that we are aware of. And it's necessary. His health is important. And so we are also guided by the fact that he will not be possibly be available. So it's something that we are conscious of.
The difficulty for the majority is having the bill passed if the Speaker is not chairing. But is the Speaker's planned medical absence going to affect the intentions of the majority side to have the bill passed? Should it be considered next week?
I do not think that the absence of the Speaker of Parliament will render the activities and business of the House ineffective, or there's going to be a weakness. I do not think so, because the first Deputy Speaker and the second Deputy Speaker of Parliament are readily available to take his seat when he is not in town.
Cannot tell when his situation will need to be review or when he needs to see his medical officer or not. So that's what has happened, and we all were there. We said we were ready for e-levy, and I believe that most of you came on Tuesday 25th expecting that that was what was going to be tabled. We had a meeting with leadership. It's still the same 1.75%. It's still the same above 100 Ghana cedi. So for me, there is nothing to even talk about.
The minority side says it will take no chances if the majority side attempts to have a deputy speaker cast his vote in the absence of the speaker while on medical leave. Already, there are suspicions from the minority side that the majority, while it is consulting on the bill, intends to have the levy passed before the speaker leaves for the weekend. The is yet to be substantiated by the majority, but the majority would not comment.
Away from the e-levy, the National Labour Commission has dragged the University Teachers Association of Ghana to court over its defiance of a directive to end the strike and continue with negotiations. UTAG's industrial action is in its third week, sparking concerns of a possible shutdown of the 15 public universities. According to public university statutes, they must close down after 21 days of non-teaching and restart the entire academic academic year, NLC carried through its threat to seek legal redress against UTAG. UTAG has confirmed that it has received a copy of the suit.
And while we are this, recall that the students pay the fees. Some are in hostels that are charging close to 6,000 cedis a month, and they've been there for almost a month and no academic work. But last week, if you recall, the National Executive Committee of UTAG is saying it was unable to call off the strike after members across the universities resolved to continue with the boycott. Let's get on to the telephone now. Reactions from UTAG National Secretary, Dr. Sariano, on this latest development with the suit from the National Labour Commission. Doc, good evening to you. Thank you for your time. If you can hear me.
Good evening, and good evening to your listeners.
So I know that leadership has confirmed that you've received this suit from the National Labour Commission. What's your reaction to this?
Okay, thank you once again. So indeed, today we have been served with two processes. The first one is an application for the enforcement of the directive of the National Labour Commission, which is scheduled to be heard, I think, on the February 2nd. And then there is a second one, an injunction application by the National Labour Commission to be heard on the February 3rd. But we are reliably also informed that the Commission initially had an ex parte motion for the injunction against UTAG, which was also refused by the court yesterday.
I see. So there was actually an ex parte motion against UTAG, which was refused yesterday. Hello? Dr. Sariano, we lost him briefly. He's the National Secretary of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, giving us some details of this development with the suit from the National Labour Commission. In fact, this is the second time the NLC is resorting to the court of law over this UTAG strike. Remember, this is the third week, going into the fourth week that this strike has been ongoing, and we're getting some details and reactions to that. We lost him, we tried to raise him back. Portia.
Let's now go to the Western region, where victims of the APPIATSE explosion have been relocated to the Dumasi resettlement camp, though not their preferred relocation. The victims say they have no option than to manage at the facility. A report by Ibrahim Abubakar.
Over 800 persons were displaced after the APPIATSE explosion. As promised, the victims have been provided with temporary shelter at the Dumasi resettlement camp, awaiting redevelopment of their town. For 47-year-old Francis, life has not been easy since the incident. The father of three says they feel like refugees.
It makes you feel the reality of those refugees, and we hear of wars and rumors of wars, but it gives you real experience, and it also conscientizes you of the possibility that you can lose whatever that you've acquired in life. So it makes you feel like a stranger in your own environment.
Not having access to television and refrigerator is something Alberta will miss as she moves in the camp.
Say TV, ubia TV. Yawe fridge. Ugu sala ubeko echima ba bibia. By I had a sentence. Life na easy.
Despite their inability to access some basic amenities, the victims commended authorities for the swift response.
Yaba moment today in a party dreary. Me dream with the machine because Miss baby and my baby drew Sati be with me dear. Miss Wabas in Musa, and so you don't cry. And yes, no more so mukoy no swear. That's yet as a free and one would need. Memo Fiada Manco, baby, Manco, Jumanas on a TV, me TV. The Opel Bay, no one, they are nice and they buy Unya TV, so by your Moyano, eh? Abaya yadi. my idea. A buy a dream of myself, you see, and money idea. Oh, me the idea say.
Over 50 tents have been mounted to serve as accommodation for the displaced. Improvised washroom facilities have also been created at the camp. A team of police personnel have been stationed here to provide 24/7 protection for the victims. For now, this camp will serve as their home until the destroyed APPIATSE township is rebuilt. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, APPIATSE, Western Region.
And President Akufo-Addo has presented 100,000 cedis to the APPIATSE Explosion Support Fund. The president made the proposal and personal donation when the 5-member committee to manage the fund called on him at the Jubilee House.
What should we be aiming to do? In the best of all possible worlds, it would be to rebuild the city, the village. We don't have a clear idea of what was there, what it was like before the explosion. But we can have an idea. I mean, it can't be very different from other villages around the area. It must be more or less the same. And therefore, envisaging what is to be done, the numbers involved, and, I don't think it's going to be rocket science. We should be able to do that relatively straightforward. I'm very, very impressed with the thinking of the chair that we should move on, not just rebuild the city, but use it perhaps to create some sort of model, a village model, small town, going down the line for people to see what the future is going to look like and what the future should look like. We obviously have to focus on the whole issue of safety in the mining communities and in the mining sector. It's on the table. We can't run away from it. And in many cases, reforms, this is how it happens. When an incident like this happens, it calls for some serious review of safety measures, following the discourse in the newspapers you're hearing. Apparently some of the chiefs saying that, for instance, the van in question didn't have a police escort. I don't know. Is it in the rules? Must there be a police escort and all of that? But I think that it gives us an opportunity to look at the whole regulatory framework, focusing on safety as far as mining activities and the development of the mining sector is concerned. I have my widow's mite. I have 100,000 CDs.
Let's now go to the Ashanti region, where 4 students of the Jesu Senior High Technical School are currently on police wanted list after an attack on 3 students. 2 are already in police custody, assisting with investigation. William Evansinkum has more in this report.
Students from the Ejosu Senior High Technical School have been attacked in a space of 1 week. The development has heightened security concerns. On Thursday, members of the Municipal Security Council met students to address the issue of security at a town hall meeting. It was revealed that some students could be behind these attacks. Superintendent Frederick Lumo, the district police commander, provided proof with names of some suspects.
Locked. It should be another video. Locked. Are you there? Locked. You know him. You know him. You know him. What about Tuga? Who is Tuga? Tuga. I want to have lunch with you. Don't be afraid.
A worried municipal education director, Kwame Usu, says such acts could undermine the government-free senior high school program.
It is good to allow our kids to be at the boarding house and to have free education. But when we behave the other way, it will send signals around for people to say, oh, after all, you should cancel the free education because the behavior of the students are not anything good to write home about.
but to a resident, management of the school needs to improve supervision. The police have resorted to streamline patrols to halt future attacks, while some suspects on police wanted list are being pursued.
In 2 days' time, we are praying that you get all those who are connected. After the visit, then appropriate action to be taken. So apart from the students, so there are some other people who are also staying around. And then, so the investigation will not be only limited to the school, but even beyond. Because apart from the school, there are some other criminality that will also be going on around the school.
Well, the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ebenezer Kojokum, has denied relieving NABCO beneficiaries in that ministry of their post. In an interview with TV3, the minister asked the public to disregard the letter explaining that it is only government through the NABCO Secretariat which can decide on the future of beneficiaries.
The 3-year contract for the 100,000 beneficiaries of the Nation Builders Corps NABCO ended in October last year. However, government directed that they remain at post till a smooth transition was fashioned out. A letter purported to have come from the Chieftaincy Ministry directing all registrars in the 16 regions to relieve the trainees of their post sparked public outrage. The sector minister, in an interview on TV3, asked the public to disregard the content of the letter.
Yesterday, I saw through social media letter circulating to the effect that all NABCO trainees in our ministry should go home. I wish to put on record as per the communications you received that I have not authorized any such communication to be sent out to the NABCO trainees. As we speak now, your reporters who went to my office would have come back to tell you that the NABCO trainees in the ministry are still at post. The point is that our ministry is not the employer of the NABCO trainees. The NABCO trainees are employees who are employed by the NABCO Secretariat and posted to our ministry. So if there's any entity that has the authority or power to either engage or dismiss them, is the NABCO Secretariat.
Government owes the beneficiaries 4 months' salary arrears.
In more news tonight, artisans plying their trade at the Arts Centre in Accra have up to Sunday, January 30 to relocate. The latest ultimatum is to allow the area to be secured for the Marine Drive project. But the artisans say they will not leave without a fight. Stanley Niblewu has the rest of the story.
Construction of the $1.2 billion Marine Drive project was officially scheduled to commence in June 2019 and be completed within an 8-year period. But the project has delayed because its commencement at the time was met with stiff resistance by artisans plying their trade at the Arts Centre enclave, when the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts intended to relocate them to Kaukudi near Nima. The Arts Centre area sits on a 240-acre land, and it is estimated to host some 3,000 artisans, government agencies and departments, as well as a squatting community. The Marine Drive Secretariat has issued an ultimatum requesting occupants of the Arts Centre land to evacuate by Sunday, January 30, to give way to the construction of the Marine Drive project, which is expected to create some 15,000 jobs for Ghanaians. But the artisans say this news is unpleasant.
It's really shocking because it's such a short time for us to prepare and get out of here. Because if today is Thursday and you're asking us to move on Sunday, I mean, it's ridiculous.
You are not ready to move?
We are not ready to move by Sunday. I mean, Sunday, they should give it at least 1 month or 2 months to get ourselves together.
3 days to move from here. Look, you have a lot of people over here. Do you know? You have a lot of people. You can't move 3 days. Oh, no. You should give us some time.
For some, relocating from these premises will affect their sales fortunes. The public relations officer for the center says they have no plans to move out.
Our problem is that you can do whatever you want to do, but you must relocate us properly to a place that befits us. So going to Ghana House for now is a big no.
Member of Parliament for the Korle-Klottey constituency, Dr. Zenato Rollins, has also been here to commiserate with the artisans.
Development does not mean destroying heritage and cultural sites in the interest of something modern. That is not what development is about. There are countries in this world whose entire GDP in tourism relies upon people coming to see structures that have been there for hundreds of years. We must please consider the livelihoods of those who are here and the generations yet unborn who will be deprived an opportunity to actually understand what this center represents.
For the leadership of the Art Center, government should consider halting the relocation plan and resort to a more broader stakeholder consultation.
Quite a worrying development there, especially with the impact that this would have on the heritage and the history of the country. And those are the views expressed. We're going to stay on this in our subsequent bulletins to let you know what happens on Sunday if this directive is indeed carried through. But government in November last year scrapped the collection of road tolls across the country in anticipation of funds to be mobilized through the E-LEVY. Upon approval from Parliament, 3 months on, my colleague Lord Eduasari has been finding out what has become of some toll booths as the E-LEVY remains contentious.
It's been almost 3 months since the implementation of the scrapping of road toll collection in the country by government. You'd recall that one of the side benefits that government cited with the scrapping of the road tolls was that it would help improve the traffic situation in areas where road tolls were collected. Well, we are here at the motorway to find out what the effects have been.
Andra, I was just passing by when I saw some certain guy. Those guys out there, they are taking, what do you call it, the aluminium around. So he was trying to, remove the cable, one of the cable that they have connected it to the computer. Yeah, so I just stopped him. What he's doing is not good. So I just sacked him. So I'll just, I pray the government should, try to do something about it.
Due to the absence of street lights around here, deviants have been stealing items at the toll booths and are able to get away with it.
Road safety consultant Cecil Gabra cited safety and security concerns which should be addressed by government.
I've heard a lot of stories others are saying that people will throw something at you behind the toll booths and so on, but I do not think that is being done. If it is done, I would suggest that henceforth we should have at least one policeman or 2 policemen, or if it's possible, a patrol vehicle must be there with its blinkers, especially at night. That will scare anybody around to cause any harm to any driver.
The executive director at Top Tech Transport and Logistics rejected calls for the demolition of toll booths.
I don't see it as being demolished because this is Ghana for you. We cannot know what will happen in the future, whether XYZ political party will be empowered to say, hey, go away E-LEVY, we are bringing back the toll booth system to generate funds and so on. So breaking it, question mark.
Well, coming up is the health segment, which is sponsored by the new Pepsodent Charcoal White Toothpaste, formulated from a blend of high-quality purified charcoal and lemon essence.
This segment is brought to you by Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal. Pepsodent, because every smile matters.
In the segment tonight, more cases of type 1 diabetes are being recorded among teenagers between the ages of 11 and 17 within the Volta and Greater Accra regions. The National Diabetes Association is worried about the trend and is calling for financial assistance to research the reason behind the trend.
Children was initially not common in Ghana. An estimated 1,700 children currently are living with diabetes in Ghana. But the National Diabetes Association says the numbers could be more.
our database now, it looks like there are more females than the males. But I was doing some entries, then it occurred to me that why we've even seen that the age brackets between 11 and 17 are a lot. So it's time maybe we do a research to find out what happened for children between the age of 11 to 17 presenting a lot to the clinics with type 1 diabetes. We are even more concentrated on the south. We've not been to the Afram Plains, we've not been to the northern regions because we are financially challenged.
The association wants parents and guardians to be conscious of warning signs in their wards.
What we have to look out for: a child that is withdrawn, not eating, growing lean, bedwetting, urinating frequently, having a huge appetite too, but not gaining weight, at the same time to sweating most of the time. Those children need to be monitored. Those are the cardinal signs you have to look in for.
The association wants government to give tax exemptions to international bodies who donate equipment for free diabetes treatment in the country.
So live here on News 360, we're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com.